Hi everybody, it's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path. It is Poetry Thursday and we're going to combine not poetry, but a little Charles Dickens with some floss tube that I'm very pleased to show off. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to read a little bit from A Christmas Carol. Let me get my pages right here. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. But we're not going to read the part at the end when he has the redemption or everything like that. And we're not going to read the part with Marley's ghost. I went through that and I decided that that was not appropriate. I am kind of a Scrooge fanatic, but I like Scrooge when he is before his transformation. I like him after his transformation, of course, because then he turns out to be a wonderful, giving, caring person and everything like that. But Dickens' description of him before he has the visitations by the three ghosts and everything like that, and even during that, I thought was brilliant. I thought it's some of the best writing I've ever read. So I'm going to read you just a short little passage here, and then we're going to look at some of my Scrooge projects that I'm working on with my cross stitch just to mix it up a little bit. Okay, you ready? Twitch is on the loose, so if she comes in, I'll have to pause it really fast. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterward, above the warehouse door, Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge, and sometimes Marley. But he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire, secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze his old features, nipped at his pointed nose, shriveled his cheek, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red and his thin lips blue, and spoke out shrewdly from his grating voice. A frosty rim was on his head and on his eyebrows and his wiry chin. He carried his own low temperature always about with him. He iced his office in the dog days, and it didn't thaw out 1 degree at Christmas. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no winter weather chill him. No wind blew that was bitterer than he, no falling snow was more intent upon its purpose, no pelting rain less open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain and snow and hail and sleet could boast the advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down handsomely, and Scrooge never did. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? When do you come to see me?" No beggars implored him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what it was o'clock. No man or woman ever once in his life inquired the way to such and such place of Scrooge. Even the blind men's dogs appeared to know him, and when they saw him coming on, would tug their owners into doorways and up courts, and then would wag their tails as if to say, "No eye at all is better than an evil eye, dark master." But what did Scrooge care? It was the very thing he liked, to edge his way along the crowded paths of humanity, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance. What was knowing one called nuts to Scrooge? Once upon a time, of all the good days of the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy at his counting house. It was a cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear people in the court outside go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts and stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day, and candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The fog came pouring in at every chink and keyhole, and so dense without that although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open, that he might keep an eye upon his clerk. who in the dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so much smaller it looked like one coal, but he couldn't replenish it. For Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room. So surely as the clerk came in with the shovel, the master predicated that it would be necessary for them to part. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!" cried a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first the first intimation he had of his approach. "Bah!" said Scrooge. "Humbug." Now that, even though I screwed it up, and I messed up a few little words and everything like that, is some wonderful writing. Oh, he was a covetous old sinner, that Scrooge. And I just love him. I just love Scrooge when he is cold and biting and grasping and clasping and everything like that. So I want to show you my Scrooge cross-stitch collection because I have one. Of course I do. All right. So the first one I'm going to show you, I haven't worked on yet. But this is by Primitive Hair, and this is the sign of the counting house, Scrooge and Marley. And there is Scrooge going down the path, keeping all humanity away from him, skirting along the sides, as secretive as an oyster. And there's the counting house, and I'm going to do that one. I don't think I'll do the Bah Humbug. I just like this one better, but we'll see. I may do that one. So I got that. And then the one that I have been working on is when Scrooge does a little ghost hunting. Marley was dead to begin with. That was the opening, and I thought I better not read the opening to the part where he says Bah Humbug for the first time because you guys would all click off. But let me show you where I'm at on that. So I've got Scrooge, I've got the candle, and I'm starting the frame for when it says Marley is dead. So that one's coming along. And then last night I got a surprise from my mom, and I got a new one. And this one is massive. It's very big. This is called the Dickens Christmas Sampler. I'm just gonna take the cover sheet out so you guys can see it. This, when it's finished, will be about 3 feet wide, or 3 feet tall, and about 2 feet wide. Look at that. Can you see that? A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And then it has all the characters in it. Some of my favorites: Old Fezziwig, Bob Cratchit, the Ghost of Christmas Future. It's just a wonderful sampler. It'll take me years to finish, but I am excited about it. So, poetry with a little floss tube. Well, you never know what you're gonna get with Mag. You never know. I hope I didn't butcher that reading. I hope that the ghost of Charles Dickens doesn't show up in my bedroom tonight and get all mad at me because I posted on YouTube and I butchered his reading. Anyway, we have the office Christmas party today, which I'm looking forward to. Yay! I love the office Christmas party because we have it in a swanky hotel and we all get to go home afterwards. They have a champagne cocktail. It's really nice. Anyway, I've still got one more Poetry Thursday, and I'm going to do something a little bit controversial. Yes, I am. Something a little bit controversial, and I hope I don't lose some subscribers for doing something a little controversial. Anyway, you guys, I hope you're having a wonderful season, and if you're not, it'll be over soon, because I get it. Sometimes Christmas sucks, but I hope it doesn't for you this year. But if it does, it'll be over soon. And that's all the words of wisdom I have today, and I will check you later.